I have here the Amazon Blue Driver Fuel Pressure Tester Kit. I think they have a couple different ones, and I think this is the one with the adapters and attachments and stuff. I'm not sure, or maybe there is another one with more adapters. So this is I think it was like only 35 bucks or something like that Canadian. So I really like it. I've used it once already. I've tested this car once already. I'm only using the gauge and this one hose, that's it. But there is different adapters and extensions and stuff there as well. And a couple of chunks of hose, a couple hose clamps, bits that I never used. But it's a pretty handy kit for the price. I like it. So what I've done here is I've removed my kickdown cable because my kickdown cable just happens to be like right here. So I just disconnected it for now. 14 and 16 mil, 9/16 and 5/8 to tighten this up, and I just threaded on here by hand. Excuse my shiny, it's not really a work bracelet, but it was a gift from my mother. So anyway, I was wearing it this weekend and I never took it off. So I'm just gonna make sure that's super tight there, as tight as I can get it by hand pretty much. I'll turn the key on, and I'm not gonna start it. I'm gonna turn the key on and check for leaks. You don't wanna start it and have fuel pissing out on your exhaust. Trust me. I've seen it before. I've seen guys fire up engines with fuel leaking and flames just go flying. I'm not gonna say any names, but yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it on YouTube before. So I'm just gonna turn on the key, check for leaks, make sure this is all dry, and technically when you turn on your key you should get pressure. Okay, I turned my key on and she's holding 50. She's holding 50 psi. Everything seems to be dry. It's been holding pressure there for 2 or 3 minutes now. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire the car up. And I've got the spark plug back in and I've got no leaks. It's holding 50 psi. I'm gonna fire it up and I'm gonna check. I should have 52 psi at the idle, and I should have 60 psi without vacuum or with wide open throttle. So I'm just gonna double check that. Still holding 51, 52, so that's pretty good. Okay, so I ran the engine. Still holding 52 psi. There's 50, there's 60. But when I disconnected the vacuum line from the fuel regulator, I didn't notice any increase. It seemed to stay at 50. But the first time I used this pressure tester, this is not the first time, but the first time it was going up to 60 as soon as I disconnect the vacuum line, and now it's not. So I don't know, that could be the fuel filter or the regulator or the pump even. Although I did have 60 psi from the pump previously. I got to admit, the fuel pressure regulator is pretty crusty looking. That has a vacuum reference line there going to it, So I just unplugged this vacuum line, and normally the pressure would increase, fuel pressure would increase to 60. Same thing when you open your throttle, but for some reason it's holding 50 psi. I had 60 psi previously when I tested this kit the first time, and I don't know, it could be the filter or the regulator. I guess I could check the pressure at the line. If I check the pressure at the line, I'll know if the pump is making 60 pounds or not. And I planned on changing the fuel rail anyway eventually, so I might change the filter, maybe the whole fuel rail and all 8 injectors, because I have the flex fuel rail, which I'd like to put on it anyway. But for now, I might have to order a fuel filter, and maybe the injector adapters for the flex fuel rail. I still have that, and I'd like to use that. It's stainless steel. It's better looking, and it'll perform better as well. So I ended up finding a bunch of these adapters and hoses and stuff, and I tried this one here. This one screws right onto the gauge, but it's too small for a 3/8 line. It's like a 5/16 or something. So there's a bigger one here, but it's a straight through. So I ended up taking off the fuel filter, but before that I checked the pressure here after the filter, and I had 50 psi after the filter, and I've got 60. Oh, it's dropping. I think it's dropping slowly. Yeah, it's slowly dropping. Anyway, I turned the key on. I had 70 psi here. So that tells me that my pump is good, but the filter is probably bad. So I had 50 psi after the filter, and I've got like 60 or 70 before the filter. So right now I've got like 95 octane, the highest, no ethanol in it right now. But some of these rubber lines, you gotta watch. Some of them are not rated for ethanol. I've also had seafoam in the tank at one time. So the lines seem okay, but I noticed that there's some cracking on the ends, and it's brand new line. Like, it hasn't been on the car maybe not even a year. So the good news is I do have fuel pressure. I used this 3-way or this inline. They have an inline adapter that comes with the gauge. So I just used the inline adapter, and then I deadheaded it here with an old door hinge pin. Just clamped that in for a deadhead. 75 psi, oh my goodness. That's a lot. And that's only a prime. Let's just turn the pump on for a second and let it prime. So I guess the culprit was the fuel filter. So this is the original fuel rail off the 2005 Suburban engine, and that's the engine I'm using. It's actually a L59 because it was a flex fuel version of the 5.3. So I took this off because I ended up using a 2002 harness. I used the 2002 harness because I wanted the throttle cable. So these injectors would not fit the 2002 harness. This is off the 2005 Suburban, and these are the flex fuel injectors. What I don't like about the non-flex fuel is they have a steel crossover. This has a stainless crossover, but these have a steel crossover. And I was just checking the injectors, and they're full of like rust. So up north here, I'd like to go corrosion free, and stainless would be nice, and it would clean up nice, and my headers are stainless. So you gotta watch, because there is like 2 different heights of injectors. I think these are the long injectors. I think, yeah, these are the longer ones, and these are the shorter ones, but this fuel rail has a drop down section that compensates for that. The only thing I would need is the adapters, the plug-in adapters. So I might order some of those, maybe. I got the stainless headers, so the stainless fuel rail would be nice. So I had 50 psi on the output, and I had 70 on the input. So I figure that filter is probably no good, and it's not my favorite anyway. It's just one that I had laying around. So I went and got one. This is just a 3/8 inline stamped type, and it's a little more compact. And this is called a CFI 86033, made in Taiwan. Shout out to Taiwan. It was only $5, not even $5. It was like $4 and something, $4.75 or something like that. So I seen these on Amazon, and they're like $15 on Amazon. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna try this and see how that works. See if I can get 70 psi or 60 psi at the other end. But of course, I'm still waiting for the injector adapters. I'm gonna change this whole fuel rail. I don't like the steel one. I want the stainless. I want the stainless steel one. I got this red anodized braided flexible transmission dipstick. This is a double O-ring type, I guess. So might install that sometime soon. It's supposed to go like on the firewall, I guess, and it's flexible. But I got this chrome transmission dipstick, this chrome one right now. I think I traded my buddy some chrome alternator bracket for it or something, but there's no bolt-in spot on the LS engine. The 700R4 has it like on that one bolt, and the LS just doesn't have that one bolt.